Tradition was always about not following the convention. That would be what I call traditional definitions of failure, because at the end of the day, it's a label. I mean, there's this great ad for Adidas, impossible is nothing. I so totally relate to that. And to the extent that I can empower others in achieving that and being that, really gets me going, and it's something that brings me a lot of fulfillment.
Hi Krishna, thank you so much for being here. All right, so I want to start with your early childhood days. Where did you grow up?
Well, I grew up in Singapore. I was actually born in Sri Lanka, and my dad had an opportunity many years ago to build out the cable car tower in Singapore. And so it was a one-year assignment, and loved the place so much, loved the energy. It was a young nation. I think at that time it was about 6 years old, and decided to just stay on. And I think we've benefited from the culture, the energy and the meritocracy that this country has. And so yeah, so I grew up in Singapore. I'm Singaporean. I've done national service, and I can get into Singlish anytime.
How about your mom?
Yeah, she is, I would say, my biggest mentor, right? She's so avant-garde, you know, coming from a traditional Asian community, if you like. But the way she imbibed in us a different philosophy on how to approach life, how to actually fall and pick yourself up. I think that would be in one of the biggest memories that I have growing up, about, you know, just always pushing us to the limit in aid of our thinking, you know, just completely opening up our paradigm. And I think that's just been amazing. And from a woman as well, no less. So I've always had women in my life who have influenced me. My two elder sisters as well have been a great impact, and I've got an elder brother as well. So very fortunate that my siblings and my parents have been very strong influence and an anchor, if you like.
When you were a kid, what did you want it to be when you grow up?
Prime Minister.
Very ambitious. How about your parents? Did they expect anything from you?
They didn't really, but you know what? I was always told that if you can speak all the languages in Singapore, you should be able to make it as a prime minister. And so I don't know, you know, growing up, you have all of these dreams, but certainly being a lawyer was front and center. And I guess you know, at that point, and Lee Kuan Yew was my parents. They're massive fans of him and his style of leadership and his foresight. It didn't come as a coincidence, I guess, to them that he was a lawyer as well. So.
Did you have any family traditions?
Family tradition, actually the tradition was always about not following the convention. So there wasn't really a tradition, if you like, right? To just be unconventional and to allow things to flow naturally. You know, I mentioned the avant-garde mother, you know, so I think that was a natural extension of that philosophy as a family. Try out things differently. You know, it was difficult for my parents coming from a community where they were comfortable in, and then coming to a young country, but I think they epitomize the philosophy of being avant-garde and being, you know, willing to just try things out.
Hobbies, interests, what do you like?
Hobbies, I like my cars. I like classic cars in particular. One particular classic car, when I was 17 years old, I remember seeing it when I was in Kuala Lumpur, and I asked the guy, "What car is that?" And he said, "Well, son, that is a Stingray, Corvette Stingray." And I said, "Okay, one day I'm going to get it." And so, you know, across the years, I've always kept in touch with that passion, and I always love cars. And so, yeah, so I love cars. I like restoring them as well. So for me, it's like an expression of myself in those cars restored. So I kind of give a modern iteration to them. I like some photography as well. I like the composition of landscape, of people, of things in nature. Because I think there's a natural order. Are just designed to be the way they are.
Tell me about your lowlights, the lowest point in your life.
The lowest point, I think it was probably a stretch. And you know, I regularly discuss this with my young associates, and I tell them that period of funk was perhaps when, as they say, when you lose your possibilities, right? And when you lose your vision, or you start off, right, wanting to be prime minister, I guess. And then there's one stage where, and I would say it was probably, I can only define it as a low life period, if you like, but I don't relate to it that way. But just to answer your question, it would probably be those years between 17 to about 20, 21, where, I was just learning other things, right? I was just, getting the grades at school was not as important as being really proficient on the snooker table and exploring other things in life. And so when I look back, perhaps during the time when I was experiencing that, being disempowered, that may have been a low period, if you like, where possibilities just died out, right? But now on reflection, I'm like, wow, okay, it's just great to have those experiences, but without any labels, not calling them low or high, but just a series of events and actions that sequentially happen, and you craft yourself out from that. I experienced failures, I think, throughout my life, whether it was getting an F in an exam, or being rejected by a girl, or failing in a business, and losing all the money and everything else. So that would be what I call traditional definitions of failure, because at the end of the day, it's a label. Because you can treat that as an interaction or an experience where you have seen how things work, right? And I think philosophically, that's kind of how I have structured myself, perhaps in the last decade or so. And so for me, there's this great ad for Adidas, and this, I think it's impossible is nothing. I so totally relate to that, and to the extent that I can empower others in achieving that and being that, really gets me going, and it's something that brings me a lot of fulfillment. Mentoring is a huge part of my life, and I enjoy it, and so. It's the way I've also structured the advisory firm, just kind of building up for the next generation, because I've been blessed with so many gifts.
What is your proudest moment?
Oh, these are tough questions, I would say proudest moment would be, achieving my, receiving my first job offer, to be a lawyer. And this is back in the UK, when I was, at the back of those failures, right? Or at the back of that stretch where playing pool, or playing billiards was more important than getting the grades. And then seeing that turn around, and then just knowing that, what, if you just set your mind to it and you just have belief, anything is possible. And then going at it, right? So I would say that would have been my proudest moment in proving to myself that I can just achieve anything I put my mind to. I believe we coexist in an ecosystem where the community is very important. I look at the traditional African, philosophy of Ubuntu, where everyone must rise together, because it just creates for workability. And even if you want to take a capitalist slant to it, I think it was Milton Friedman in the early 70s when he spoke about, for capitalism to really work, life has to work, society has to work, it has to be evened out. You can't have this huge disparity between the classes. And I think, it's very laudable for what Oz is trying to do, which is essentially trying to get the community to rise together, right? To be uplifted together. Because I don't know about you, but during COVID, in the comforts of my home, sometimes when you look around and you think about others who may not be as comfortable, it's almost as if you don't have the space to enjoy that moment, because knowing full well that others may not be similarly blessed. So I like that part of Oz. I like the fact that they are building something, they're building a community, and spreading the love, so to speak.
What do you desire most about life?
To have my expression fully heard.